Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I'm going to do our chart lesson for Friday, November the 4th. And I want to start off with the big picture here so you can kind of see how I got the trend line. And it was a little difficult getting a trend line today starting out, mainly because we had all this. It was really choppy. It was kind of a trading range right here, to be honest. As you can see, this is kind of the highs across here, and this is kind of the lows. And the trend didn't really start down until, well, you could say it was kind of chopping down. But anyway, this is what I had to do. I used the first two swings of the overnight, but it just didn't look right up here. As you can see, that trend line, if you drew it across those highs, it did come into play, so it was valid. But it wasn't steep enough. And generally, your better trends are going to be steeper. So I drew this one twice, really. You want this one up here because it does come into play later. But I drew it across the closes, and it may be hard to see there. But if you come and you follow all the way down through here, you will see that mostly what's sticking up, except for this little aberration right here. But it is the first two swings of the overnight, like usual. And then when I cloned that and drug it down to here, you can see that all the reversals came after it pushed through. And that's generally how trend channels work. You get your reversals when prices push through and the other side. And so anyway, that's how I got that trend line, and I cloned it here. And then, of course, I put this one on here because later in the day it did come into play. And then on the way up, I found the first two swings. I tried again. It was kind of the same thing. This may come into play later, but these first two swings were just too flat. And once the trend kind of got a 45-degree angle, I drew it off those first two swings, and you can kind of see because then I cloned it and drug it up, and it did hold prices at the upper side too. And it's amazing how these points usually come into play at the same kind of places. At these junctions and so forth. But anyway, that's how I got my trend lines for the day. I'm going to take this one off for now, and then I'm going to back out here where we can see a little better. And I am going to try to keep up with our time today. I've got a timer going, and I'm going to try to stop at 10. I'm going to try to get it under 15 minutes today. I know some of you are probably chuckling when you hear me say that, but let's get right into it, and let's see how this thing matched up. We started off. We had our trend channel. I drug it down here, and we did have this bounce off. So I was looking for prices to reverse up here somewhere in this area around the trend line when it was coming down. This is the open. It's right here. And this is really just a trading range here as well. And so we were really already in another smaller trading range when the regular market opened. The market opened right in here. As you can see, I waited before I traded. I didn't get in a hurry to enter, and I waited until we had this little double, triple top up here, and I took a short off it. That was the first entry off this double top. We actually had the double top was set up right there. I usually try to get above the closes and not the stems because the stems give you clues, and you can see we broke higher there, failed, and prices turned down. So I felt like we were going to come back down to the low side again, and could have drawn this one. Closes were getting higher here, so there was where most of your closes were. So you probably would have wanted to exit somewhere down here. Actually, those closes right there look the best, and you get the most touches across there. So our entry on this one was 48 and a quarter. And if you exit by the time it got to the low, or at least tighten your stop by the end, it was an easy scalp. A couple points out of that again, 48 and a quarter, 46 and a quarter. You could have got 2 points on it before you got out here, before you reached the bottom. So I would have been looking to think about exiting any runners on a bounce here. And you might have just scalped out of this one completely because this is a trading range, lots of overlapping bars and so forth. But that's trade one. Trade two is actually a two-legged pullback off this low to the upper side of the double top and the trend line, and all you got is a couple of stems up here. But look what happened. You had your low right here. You had one swing down, a pull back, so that's a two-legged move down, And then now we got a new low right here. We got the first move up. There's the pullback, and when that bar broke lower right there, that's a first entry short. Then we pulled back and tested the trend line, and the second entry short would have triggered below this bar right here. It didn't, so then we move it up below this bar. But by the time it would have triggered below that bar, look what happened. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 5 overlapping bars, all of them just about dojis. And so that's not a good place to go short. We need to wait. We need to be patient. And so by not entering there, you see what happened. Prices broke lower below this bar. We broke lower, went a couple of ticks. We just trapped a couple of shorts, and they ran it back up, and it broke up the top here and probably stopped out. Probably most of them had their stops right here, so it stopped everybody out right in here, took everybody's stops, probably trapped in a bunch of longs right there at the same time, thinking, hey, we're going low, we're going higher. And then prices turned immediately after breaking higher and going a couple of ticks, turned down. And so we got a trap there. And what I did was have my stop 1 tick below this bar right here. That still gives you enough room to scalp out should prices bounce, which they did. But we enter at 47.50, and this ran down to 45.50 and hesitated there. We never got out right there, so hopefully you didn't exit right here, because this is a little trading range, and prices just turned down, and any runners were to survive unless you completely got stopped out. And so you're short from 47.50, and this ran as low as 34.50. And you probably should have exited for sure when prices broke lower here. What I would have probably done was start putting my stop above each one of these little pullbacks until you eventually got stopped out, and that would have been right here at 36.75 when prices actually penetrated here, so you might have exited here. But either way you did that, you should have got 5 to 10 points out of that move. And it was a really nice move. All right, the third trade here, let me just look at our time. All right, we're looking at 7 minutes. We're still under 10 minutes. So this is a two-legged pullback to the EMA after a nice bearish move down. You probably figure you're going to get another measured leg at least down. So this is 2 legs back, and here you are. You got your new low here. So the count's 0, prices pull back, and there's the first break lower. That's your first entry, then prices pull up, and then there's your second break lower right there. We didn't want to enter below that bullish bar yet, most likely, so it was better to wait again. Don't get antsy. And then prices actually broke lower, turned back up, and ran everybody's stops again on a break above those 2 highs. And then look what happened. This is really just a repeat of these other trades up here. It's just another trap. And prices turn right back down. So our entry would have been right below that green bar. And if you didn't enter there, you definitely should have entered below this big bearish bar. But you probably would have missed a good part of the move there. But because it was a trap, you enter right here, 43.50. And prices ran all the way to 34.50. So almost 10 points just right there in that move before prices bounced. So that was another nice entry right there. All right, then look what happened. Prices broke below the trend channel line, and usually once that happens, you're going to get a move up to the other side. I'm still struggling with my cough a little bit. When I get to talking more, I have more troubles with it. But look what happened. We got a double top right here at the trend line. And this kind of confirmed the trend line for us. But we got this double top. And look, this is what's really interesting here. There was actually a 2-legged pullback and then a second entry long right there. But we don't want to go long because there's our trend line. I mean, nobody wants to go long this high. So this is where people get trapped. This is where people make mistakes. Watch those trend lines to keep up with them. But look what happened. We had a second entry long. The entry price was 40, and it went to 41. It got exactly 4 ticks, but couldn't get through and couldn't go higher, and prices reversed. So they trapped a lot of longs right there, guaranteed. That's where most people probably would have had a losing trade trying to get long up here near this high. And if you look, there's really a double top all the way kind of across here. You see that? But anyway, that was a breakout area before, and now it was support before, and now it's kind of acting as resistance. But anyway, you get your failed second entry long when prices, and look at this little trap right here. You got an inside bar and a one tick trap right there that ticked above, and then prices turn. So it's kind of like those other trades. We put our order right here below that inside bar because it went higher first, and then it reverses. We get our orders triggered at 39.50, and this runs straight down to 35.50. A nice 4-point move. Prices bounced. They tried to go lower again. So when they went lower that second time and went up, I probably would have exited there. But if I didn't exit there, I definitely would have exited when we created this second entry short right here and then reversed up, because that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. And because look, prices tried to go short twice, once, twice, and couldn't get below that point, below this point. So remember our rule: anytime the market attempts to do something twice and fails, it's likely to succeed in going further in the other direction. And look what happened. We moved all the way up here. But we had two higher lows here, so I drew my trend line. I'm always drawing my trend line. I drew my first one down here, and then I drew this one. And we don't know if they're going to come back into play or not, but we need to be paying attention to them in case they do. And you might even have drawn this one just like this, because it really was in play right up through there like that. And then we had the break, and then boom, two legs up to a new high. And so no matter how you drew this one, you should have found this move right here. And what this is, let me show you. Leg one, pull back, and then leg two. And if you look, I bet you they're a perfect measured move. Maybe one tick lower here than up here, I'm not sure. But look at that, two legs up. So this is a second entry long right here, right where the trend line, first break of that trend line, that was definitely in play. And so you could have gone long here, but I wasn't 100% convinced that we weren't going to do another, still retest this low. So I waited for the next entry, which was right here. And let me show you what happened here. Prices attempted to go lower right here at that trend line again, and ticked one tick lower and then turned up. So I figured we would at least get the second leg up, and I was pleasantly surprised because, yeah, we got a second leg up. We actually got two nice big legs up, and the entry on this one was 41.75, and this ran all the way up to the trend line at 51.75 almost. So that's a 10-point move without hardly no pullback. That was the trade of the day. And that was the one you should have been looking to catch for certain. I'm going to quickly talk about this last one. Remember the trend line coming off these first couple swings up here, and when you got this swing, you could have pulled it down if you weren't sure if it was the closings or not. And then when we got that second touch right there, that's basically a double top, a triple top across there, and you got a new high right here. You got a first entry. It's hard to see this right here. Then your first entry right there, pull back, and that's a second entry short. For some reason I don't have my line across here. And you got a little bearish bar, but you got that trap again up here. Look at here. You got these two. Let me narrow in here where you can see this better. You got this two bars. It ticked higher again, just like it kind of did before. And at first, I would have had my order right there. But when this bar completed right here, you could have moved it up. You could have left it here if you wanted, or moved it up. But you got your second entry short right there. And this was a nice 49.75 down to, it's about a 3-point move before prices bounce. So no runners here, but an easy 3 points out of that. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm trying to get these shorter and trying to talk. We may talk about fewer trades, but hopefully you're getting more details out of the trades. Give you a bigger picture look again. that's what it looked like for the day. But this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystems.com, and hope everybody has a good weekend. Hope everybody had a great trading week, and look forward to an even better one next week.